You know, there are many people today who say that we're not living in the time of the end. They say the world is just as the same as it's always been. There's no real changes that have taken place. But of course, we know they're deceiving themselves. Never before have so many people around the globe openly practiced and flaunted sexual immorality. And not just among themselves, but they're seeing that it's brought into the homes by means of internet, television, and other means. Never before has man had the power to decimate entire populations by dropping just one bomb or by means of chemical warfare. Never before has there been such widespread lack of love, of natural affection that results in the death of children. It's interesting that some calculate that over 1 billion abortions have taken place since 1980. That's really something. That's just about the population of China, if you can imagine. And that is something that's accepted as commonplace in our day. So some people think, well, things haven't changed, but is that true? No, quite to the contrary. And something else that we're fully aware of is that people around the earth are making a garbage dump out of the planet that we live on, polluting the air, the seas, the land, and yet some still insist that things haven't changed. Now, why is it? Why do people have that attitude? Well, part of it lies in what the scriptures tell us, what Paul wrote at 2 Corinthians 4:3 and 4. And there it says that Satan blinds the minds of the unbelievers. And the unbelievers are not just atheists. The unbelievers are found throughout the churches of Christendom. They don't really believe what the Bible has to say about prophecy, about morality, that God is really going to clean up this planet and is going to be a wonderful new world of peace and happiness. And so, to help people understand these things, we go out and we preach. We tell them about what Matthew 24 says, and Mark 13, and Luke 21, and 2 Timothy 3, that we're living in the time of the end. But there is something we have to remember if we get a little bit discouraged when people don't respond as we feel they should to all of the evidence that we see and we appreciate. The Bible indicates very clearly that many people would not see the sign. They would not accept what the Bible has to say. And what's most interesting about that is that the people who ignore and who deny the sign that we're living in the time of the end are part of the sign themselves, what they do and the way they think. Turn to 2 Peter. 2 Peter chapter 3, and we'll read verses 3 and 4 in the first line and verse 5. 2 Peter 3 and 4 in the first line and verse 5. Peter wrote, "First of all, know this, that in the last days," so this is something Peter is saying would happen during our time, "ridiculers will come with their ridicule, proceeding according to their own desires, and saying, 'Where is this promised presence of his? Why, from the day our forefathers fell asleep in death, all things are continuing exactly as they were from creation's beginning.'" And then the reason for it is given in the next line, "For they deliberately ignore this fact." Well, here the fact was they ignored the flood of Noah's day. The fact for us today is that they ignore what the Bible clearly says, or what Jesus said would be the sign of the last days. So they don't realize it, but they're part of the fulfillment. What contributes to an unbelieving attitude? Well, one of the things is what we could call is gradualism. The Watchtower, January 15, 2014, paragraph 30, or page 30, paragraph 11, stated the following: "It seems that the more familiar a situation is, the less people are inclined to pay attention to it. A steady decline in the morality of society in general may seem less shocking than a sudden, unexpected change in the behavior of a close acquaintance." And then it says, "Nevertheless, this gradual decay of morality is dangerous." And isn't it true that most of us we were raised in an environment that was not so good? There were immoral things taking place around us, wars, crime. And so people get to the point where they accept it as normal. And as it escalates, it really doesn't impress on them that no, times have changed. They're becoming far worse than ever before. Gradual decay of morality is dangerous. It makes me think of an illustration about how to boil a frog. If you heat up a pot and you have the water boiling and drop a frog into it, what's going to happen? He's out of there. He's not going to stay. That frog isn't stupid. He hits the water and it's terribly hot and out he jumps. But if you fill the pot with cool water, drop the frog in, and then gradually, little by little, you heat it up until it gets to the boiling point, he's cooked. And that's what's happening in the world today. The gradualism is not perceived by people in the world, but they're being cooked. It's getting hot. And so we know that wicked men are going to continue to increase, imposters scoffing at the truth. World conditions are escalating. They're getting worse constantly, but they're going to have to deal with the Creator and his judgment. And there's 3 Psalms I'd like to just mention briefly that I find very interesting that tie in nicely with the wickedness of the world and what Jehovah will do. Psalm 10, verse 4. In his haughtiness, the wicked man makes no investigation. All his thoughts are, there is no God. Psalm 12:8. The wicked walk around unrestrained because the sons of men promote depravity. That could have been this morning's headlines in the New York Times. And the last Psalm, 92:7. When the wicked sprout like weeds, and all the wrongdoers flourish, it is that they may be annihilated forever. And to that we say, Amen. So be it.